Hey y'all, I know it has been a minute since I did some Love and Marriage Huntsville reviews, but we're gonna try and just get right into it because I need to catch up because there's another episode coming on tonight. But if you enjoy this review, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. Now let's get into it. We are reviewing season 6, episode 12 of Love and Marriage Huntsville, titled "Peace Before the Stormy." Stop it. My bad, y'all. That's my cat. She's mad at me right now. Anyways, so we start off with Kimmi and Maurice, and she's damn near begging Micah to finally finish the work that they paid him to do on their building, and then and Micah is he's just ready to get the fuck out of there. And then in her confessional, Kimmi says that um, they're in a new office building and she's ready to apply some pressure to get shit moving faster. And then Maurice says that the building has been under construction for like 8 months. And Kimmi says that she's done her part in paying for it, and now she just needs to see Micah and Maurice do the work. My cat is really getting my nerves, y'all. I'm sorry. Everything is trying to distract me from doing these reviews, y'all. I'm trying to tell you. But and basically she's like, yeah, she's trying to get them to do some fucking work because she's put the put the bill for it, but now she just needs them to do something. And I'm like, isn't that why you don't always hire family sometimes? You know, even if it's cheaper, you have to pay somewhere else because they might not get the work done fast enough. Like, so that's paying with time. And then Kimmy tells Maurice how they should have gotten a lot more done by now. And he's like, I don't know how he's saying that he doesn't know how he turned into one of the contractors like Micah. And she says, because you have allowed Micah to tiptoe his way through this thing and not get nothing done. And then Maurice is like, well, why can't they hire somebody else to basically oversee what Micah is doing? And Kimmy is like, well, y'all already not doing shit, so why would she pay somebody else to do that? And Kimmy, uh, and then Maurice is pulling Marceau saying to Kimmy, well, you're the one who wanted a microwave in your suite. Basically saying, you're the one who keeps adding on these extra things. That's why it's taking longer for us to finish. Because Marceau used to do the same thing to Tisha, talking about someone, you wanted an extra closet or a garage or anything to make it seem like it's somebody's fault that they're delaying so long. And then Kimmy says that she also decided that she wanted a husband who was very handy, and then he decided that he doesn't want to be that for her. And Maurice says no, when he decided to get married, he already decided that he didn't want to build and stuff like that. And she knew that. And then they kind of go in the back and forth, basically whether or not she knew or whether she didn't know. And so Kimmy is basically like, before we got married, you loved it, and now you're just not feeling it at all. And she's trying to figure out where the hell that came from because she thought they were cool for real. And then Maurice says, like, you know, you just want to see me out there working hard and sweating. And Kimmy says, yeah, I would love to see that because that's what she wanted that's what she got when they first started getting married. And like, you know, if anything was broken in the house, she feels like she shouldn't have to ask for it to get fixed. She just feels like it should get done, you know, and basically she married someone to do that so she don't have to ask. And then Maurice says, yeah, but he's a lawyer. And I'm like, well, you weren't when y'all first got married, so don't get smart now. And she's like, well, he had more time for stuff before then. And then Maurice begins to complain, saying that you don't know how much work goes into one lawsuit, let alone a bunch. And they have a lot going on at his law firm right now. But you don't just stop being a husband, you dumbass. And then Kimmy says, well, that's what he elected himself to do. along with having multiple investment properties and also to have a family. And then Kimmi says that nobody needs to keep hearing that he's a lawyer and he's acting like he doesn't want to help her. And Maurice says that he does want to help her, but then he asks her to give her a list so he'll figure it out. And then he's still not doing what she asked for. He just doesn't want to hear her. Basically, he's like, write it down and I'll do it. I just don't want to hear you nagging me. And in her confessional, Pat, I hope y'all hear her yelling at me, okay? Anyways, in her confessional, Kimmi says that she often feels that Maurice helps when it's convenient or mutually beneficial. Hold on, y'all, because she wants to get out of the room and she making me mad now. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. When I tell y'all everything is trying to distract me from getting these reviews done, that was an incident right there, okay? But anyways, yes, so Kimmi says in their confessional that basically she feels like Maurice only wants to help her when it's convenient for him or is mutually beneficial. And then, or after it takes her 10 times to ask, and then she tells him that she wants him to help before she has to ask. And he says, oh, so he has to work on his mind reading. And Kimmi says that some things are just common sense and foresight, and basically to just nip the shit in the bud before it really becomes an issue. And then Kimmi tells Maurice that she got a yoni steam, and Maurice, like, not gonna lie, he didn't look like he cared at all. Like, look at his face. He's like, okay. And then he asks what that does. And Kimmi explains how it detoxes stuff, but then it also helps with your libido and your vaginal health. And then Maurice is like, man, they be selling anything, and everything, and everything you need, God gave you when He created you. This is what Maurice said. And in so many words, he's basically saying, why are you wasting money on the JJT baths? They work. Don't knock it till you try it, okay? And then Kimmi says that whatever she enjoyed herself, and she went with, okay, never mind, hold on. Basically, she's telling Maurice whatever. She enjoyed herself and that she went with Tisha, but explains that Tisha feels that she has a lot of pressure on her right now. And Tisha says she feels overwhelmed. And she tells Maurice how Tisha had a little pregnancy scare moment. And he's like, what? And she's telling Maurice how Tisha actually took a test while they were at the Yoni Steam place. And Maurice looks absolutely mortified. And Maurice says that, like, she actually took her test, like, in your face. Like, what is she doing? And I'm just like, y'all really act like y'all can't get people pregnant after y'all have vasectomies. There's always still a little percentage. You know, if you can reverse it, that means it can still happen even when you get the snip. Like, don't act dumb. And then Kimmi says, like, what is Marceau gonna think that she took the test and he had a whole vasectomy? And she says, I don't know, maybe one slipped. And then Maurice says that that's crazy and that there might be more to the story. And Kimmi says that, like, what do you mean? Like, what he's saying more to the story? And Maurice is very dramatic, saying that it's just wild as fuck that they got vasectomies, like 4 years ago, and that if one would have slipped, it would have happened a while ago. I don't think not necessarily. Men are just so cut and dry, like black and white. They don't ever see gray. Like, it's possible, y'all. And then Kimmi tells him not to tell Marceau anything and to allow Tisha to do it. And Maurice says, you know, Tisha might be losing her mind. And again, or she's just a woman, and y'all just stupid. And honestly, the way Kimmi and Maurice were kind of gloating gave me an ick a little bit. But I get it. It's like, ooh, okay, my brother and his wife, my brother and sister, they got some mess going on, some tea going on right now, and our life is hella boring. So let's just get to that shit. But in his confessional, Maurice says that Tisha is full of surprises, and Kimmi says that you can't be married 17 years and to think that Marceau is not going to feel a way about this. And Maurice says that he's definitely not going to be okay with this at all. And then Maurice says that he thinks all these different hats that Tisha is putting on, working with Skull and being a project manager and all of that, and then having issues with Kiki, he says Tisha needs to go to Africa alone. And I'm like, exactly. And basically both Kenny and Maurice, smile and grin and laugh. And if you were watching Huntsville, you know what that Africa reference is. At the beginning of like the 5th season, I think it was, Marceau's like, either the 5th season or maybe it was this season. Marceau's like, oh yeah, I went on a trip to Africa by myself and I just needed to get away. And basically they're like, maybe Tisha needs to do a little soul searching, if that makes any sense. But now we're with Stormi. And she says that after a successful attempt of bringing Kiki and Tiffany together, she wants to push forward and have that progress happen with Tisha and Kiki because she's got stuff going on like that with her own family, talking about her mom and her aunt, and she doesn't want to see that happen to Tisha and Kiki. Tisha and Stormi catch up a little bit. Hold on, wait. Before we even get into the rest of the notes, whatever Stormi's mom and her sister, Miss Betty's sister got going on, that can't just be fixed over some tea and crumpets. If y'all go to the Love and Marriage Huntsville playlist on my channel, the second most viewed video is titled Betty Blues. And y'all need to go back and watch that because the way Miss Betty cursed her sister, like not cursed her out, she literally cursed her sister, bro. I ain't never heard nobody talk to their siblings like that. So Stormi's trying to be all, put a band-aid over everything. It's not gonna work like that. And she's giving Tiffany, but in a way of like, oh, I just want kumbaya. Not necessarily to be nosy. She wants kumbaya, but it's also giving very like, I got shit going on at my own house that I don't care to deal with right now, so I'm just gonna pick with y'all shit if that makes any sense. But basically, Tisha and Stormi catch up a little bit about her getting into her real estate office, getting together, and Stormi asks Tisha how she's been since barbecue. Tisha says, honestly, she's good, and she just got back from vacation. And you could just tell Stormi don't care about none of that, because she asked Tisha if she's talked to Kiki, basically. Like, have you talked to her, in so many words? And Tisha's like, who? And Stormi's like, Kiki, girl. And Tisha's like, I don't have nothing to say to her. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And everybody keeps saying that. Even Kiki told Stormi, I don't got nothing to say to Tisha. Like, so y'all need to really just leave it alone. Y'all want to end up like Tiffany and not wanting to be on the show no more because she won't stay out of your fucking business. Okay, and then Stormi says, well, she's always advocated that if things are broken, she want to try and fix it. And Tisha's looking like, yeah, I heard that about you. It says, basically that what happened at the barbecue was the nail in the coffin. And Stormi says that she hates to hear that. And Tisha says to Stormi that even when she was at the barbecue and, she got emotional about her friend, she realizes that sometimes you just got to take a step back. And if you know what I'm talking about, it's the friend Stormi said has been abusing substances or whatever. Basically saying they in the same boat. And then Stormi says that it's a different situation. And Tisha asks her how. And Stormi says because Kiki is in recovery and not currently using. And Tisha says that what Kiki is though. And she says she can't say for sure she saw Kiki take a pill, but her behavior is very similar. And Stormi is really not trying to hear none of that at all. And I get it because it's like, nobody's advocating for Kiki. Everybody's basically like, she off the rails, yada, yada, yada. And so I get it. Stormi's trying to hold a light out for her, if that makes any sense. In her confessional, Stormi says that she really feels that drug abuse and addiction isn't something to be taken lightly. And basically, don't accuse someone of doing something because you assume they are. And that it's frustrating to hear it mentioned when you don't have any proof. And basically, I'm like, I get it, but it's like Stormi and Tiffany, again, they keep trying to tell Tisha and Kiki about their relationship as cousins, and whenever either of them get feedback from Kiki or Tisha, it's like, oh no, don't assume that, they've been cousins longer than they've been castmates, in so many words. And then Stormi, again, maybe you should deal with your own stuff with your mom and her sister, because Tisha and Kiki, the way their beef go way, way back, it go way, way back for your mom and her sister as well. Like it's not gonna get sealed over no TV show, especially not over no TV show. It's only gonna get worse. Even if it looked like it get better, it's only gonna get worse. But then Tisha tells Stormi that she knows that she's developed a relationship with Kiki, but basically let's keep that separate. I don't care what you got going on with Kiki, leave that shit over there. And Stormi says, well, basically, I'm done talking about it. Let's hear about that trip that you went on. That Tisha was trying to tell her about when she first came in, but she ain't felt like hearing about it. And but basically, I'm like, no, you didn't want to hear about it before. Like, let's keep talking about Kiki. Because I'm just like, you just keep pushing deeper in his family stuff, and she just gotta leave it alone. And then they chat about Tisha going to Vegas with her friend, and Stormi asks if Marceau went with her, and Tisha says no, but he went to a bachelor party for his friend on their anniversary, on she and Marceau's anniversary weekend. And then they went to Columbia, and Stormi's trying to scare Tisha, saying, isn't that like the brothel place? Like, girl, fuck you. Stop trying to scare this girl because you're not getting the reaction that you want out of her. And then Tisha says, well, it might be, but Vegas is too, basically trying to shut Stormi up. And in her confessional, Tisha says that she and Marceau are adults and they know how to behave. He should know how to behave, but he does not. And basically that they're going to enjoy life, and says that maybe Stormi needs to get out of that warehouse and have a little fun. And I'm like, I know that's right, Tisha, because she is trying to play in your face. And my thing is at this point, they've been on for 6 seasons now. We already know what type of man Marceau is. If Tisha's cool with it, I don't know, got to take a step back. You got to take a step back. Because if she's fine with it, like, what can we do? What can we say? And then Tisha's like, yeah, girl, how's Courtney doing? And Stormi says he's cool, but she don't really look at Tisha. And she asks Stormi, is Courtney still upset? And Stormi says that he wasn't ever upset. It's just that Marceau likes to play too much. Courtney don't play like that. And Tisha says that, they were just joking. And Stormi's like, yeah, they don't joke like that though. And that basically the situation got heated. And at the time, Tisha's like, okay, but he just needed some time to cool down. Basically, Courtney just needed some time to chill. Stormi says that before the town hall meeting, she and Courtney were talking about like doing a little double date thing with Tisha and Marceau. And she thinks that they still should. And Tisha's like, oh, okay, uh-oh. And I'm like, yeah, but they agreed to the date or whatever. And then Stormi asks about the girls. And Tisha says, yeah, they're here. Caroline is doing real well. And Stormi says that that's good, but she did hear about stuff with the website. And Tisha explains that her mind had been on all the other business ventures that they have. So she wasn't as hands-on with the website and with the girls' hair care product thing like she should have been. But yeah. And then Stormi asks, basically, so you're not gonna apologize? So are you gonna apologize to me too? And they kind of laugh it off, and Tisha's like, girl, for what? And Stormi says, well, because you had people making videos saying that they in cahoots and all of that stuff. And Tisha says, haters are gonna be haters or whatever. And in her confessional, Tisha says that she didn't create the website; she paid someone to create it, and that Stormi ain't getting no apology from her. In so many words. Now you need to tell me how y'all feel about that, because I feel like as businesswoman, maybe she still should have just been like, on the behalf of the people that I've hired, I want to apologize because I should have been more hands-on. I don't necessarily feel like Tisha's response was the best, okay? Um, it really wasn't. It really wasn't. She seemed very defensive or whatever. But she could have said it. She could have said it. Um, then Tisha says that she talked to she talked to the dude who did the website, and basically saying that she probably won't use his services again, but that's just that on that. And in her confessional, Stormi says that she feels that as a CEO, they want to put the blame on someone else, but it really falls back on them. And a small mistake like proofreading your website could turn into a really big one. And then Stormi is like, well, Tisha, you could have called me or whatever. And Tisha's like, nah, I called him and I cussed him out. And Stormi says, but you still could have called me. And Tisha says, well, you could have called me. And Stormi says, she did. She's like, I did call you. And Tisha's like, for real? What you say? Tisha never answers her phone. Yo, the Scots are always late, and they never answer their phones, yo. Because there's always some drama going on. But she's like, basically, what you say? And Stormi says that she was telling her how the situation could blow up and that it was looking bad for her. And Tisha says, it wasn't looking bad for me. And Stormi says, it was, though. And that the girls their work got overshadowed because of the BS. And Tisha says that they made a lot of sales off of it, though. So at the end of the day, it worked out for the girls. And in her confessional, Stormi says that this definitely makes her look at Tisha a little differently, that she could have made a bigger deal about the whole website thing. Instead, she didn't. And instead, she gave Tisha grace, and that she can't even admit it, that it wasn't a good look for her or apologize for that. And she just doesn't know what to say to Tisha right now. And then Tisha tells Stormi that she has a lot of people who just don't like her. And Stormi says, yeah, well, we in the same boat. But she was saying that it was looking bad for both of them, and they was both getting the same amount of hate. And then Tisha got Stormi, basically that they was both getting the same amount of hate that Tisha got. Stormi and Tisha got the same amount of hate. Okay. I be typing up these notes so fast, y'all gotta bear with me. And then Tisha apologizes to Stormi, kind of, if that makes sense, just to seal up this scene. And in her confessional, Stormi says, okay, I guess they're getting somewhere. But after she had to damn near drive Tisha to that fake ass apology, she's big enough to just let it go and let it be an isolated moment. But she got her eye on Tisha. But she's still going to see if the double date makes it any better. Honestly, that was her first mistake, because literally everybody's like, well, why the hell? I don't know if it was later in this episode or in the next episode. They're basically like, why the hell invite them out for a double date if you already felt off about this shit? And maybe I should merge episode 27 and 28 together in just this one, but I don't know. We're going to keep going. But now with Chris and Nell, in his confessional, he says after speaking with Chris Jr., he's not sure if Nell is aware of how their son is really hurting, and that some of the things Chris Jr. discussed with him, he needs to tell Nell, and she needs her to really hear it and feel what he felt while having that conversation with their son. And then they chat, and I ain't even going to keep this one too long, because in so many words, Nell was just like, your son is an asshole. He don't want to be bothered with us. He don't want to mess with us. He had to call me. He had to talk to me. Yada yada. And then Chris explains, yeah, but he's talking about driving out to the middle of bumfuck who knows where. He can't sleep. He don't want to talk to nobody. He'd be up in the middle of the night. All kinds of stuff. And Nell was like, well, that do kind of sound a little concerning. So if he'll agree to counseling, cool. But I'm not going to keep waiting or dragging my feet. And Chris is like, okay, cool, great. She's like, they'll support him, but she's not going to keep trying to stick her neck out if he's not going to try and do the same thing in so many ways. Like I said, I'm not really sure how I feel about their whole storyline in regards to their family and their kids. And I get it. It's like, everybody else shows their family and their kids, so they need to as well. But I wonder if they're going to bring back Alexis. Because, again, that scene at the dinner scene really triggered me. And I just find it interesting how they're so worried about Chris Jr., but y'all completely ignored Alexis's cries for help at that dinner table. Because y'all all want to keep saying, well, she always act like that. She always act like that. There's a reason then. If y'all have not resolved it at this point, there's a reason for that. But anyways, that was Chris and Nelson. And now we're with Kimmi, and in her confessional, she says she invited Mel and Tisha out for pedicures, and she thinks that there's been some misunderstandings between them, and that they promised themselves that they would nip it in the bud. So she thinks that this would be a really good time to do a temperature check. Tisha arrives, and then in her confessional, she says that this is her first time seeing Mel and Kimmi since the last time they met up. So she's hoping that this time she can stay the full time. And I'm like, we'll see, girl. And then Tisha and Kimmi talk about how the yoni steams work for Tisha, and she's basically saying that, she and Marcel have been having a good old time. And Kimmy's looking like, oh really? But then Tisha asked Kimmi if it helped her at all, and Kimmi seems a little embarrassed to say, but she says no, it didn't. And I felt bad. I did. And then Kimmi asked Tisha if she told Marcel about the pregnancy test, and Tisha laughs and says no, and then Kimmi doesn't laugh, but asks her why. And then Tisha didn't really answer. She just said she felt sick the next day, but she doesn't know what's going on. And Kimmi is like, so you just get sick and you feel better, huh? Just like that, just like magic. And then she tells her that she needs to tell Marcel. And then Tisha's laughing, and she says she's going to, but whatever. Basically, she ain't sweating over it. It is what it is. And that's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. Like, I know it's weird to see. It's like, if y'all think the math not mathing, her husband got a vasectomy, they've been hunching on each other because they're man and wife, and all of a sudden she's just feeling sick and she feels like she needs to take a test. If she says she knows people who that's happened, y'all need to stop acting like this. Like, I know they all a little older, but y'all gotta stop acting like it's not possible. Have y'all heard about that 70-year-old woman in some country in Africa who just had twins? She's 70, black woman, 70 years old. She had twins. And 3 years before that, when she was 67, she had a whole other baby, a little boy. Y'all acting like this shit can't happen. Like, don't do that. Just don't do that. And Kimmi pissed me off even more because it's like, y'all know better. But I get it. She kind of struggling with her own stuff. So, but I don't know. Don't play with Tisha like that. But basically, Tisha's like, girl, whatever. She don't give a fuck about Marcel or how he feel about it. And she says, vasectomies don't always work, and she knows a few people who got caught up. And in her confessional, Kimmi says that in so many words, she doesn't know what's taking Tisha so long to tell Marcel about her sickness, and waiting won't make it any better. And then Mel shows up, and in her confessional, she says Kimmi and Tisha invited her out for pedicures, but says, to be honest, she don't really need one because she always right. So basically, they're just hoping to get back on track. They're working to get back on track, the same page, they're being cordial. So she's just going to do her part and show up. They've come a long way. Y'all remember from season 1 when Mel invited them over for massages, and it was all 3 of them, and it got heated because Kimmi called Mel bougie, and Mel was not feeling it. She was basically like, "Well, y'all can get the fuck out of my house," type thing, you know. Yeah, it was one of them things, but they've come a long way. And then they chat, and then Kimmi mentions how Mel's been busy, and for once, Mel was like, "Doing what? Busy doing what?" Because usually she's always like, "I'm booked and busy. I'm doing this, that, and the third, you know." And Kimmi says, "Girl, I saw your social media and everything that you've been doing," and she's like, "I seen the name change party on social media," and she said she wasn't sure if it was like an internet invitation for the community or something. And Melody's like, "No, no, it wasn't nothing like that." Now let me ask you something. Unless her invitation said anybody can pull up, why would you assume that's an invitation for the internet to show up to? Y'all working on TV. Y'all know y'all jobs don't just start and stop when that camera come on and they air it every Saturday. It don't work like that. Y'all working on the clock, posting on y'all social medias as well. Not getting paid for that. She got paid to post that. So, and then later on, Kimmi's basically like, "Well, girl, if it wasn't, a internet invitation, I figured I would have got a personal one." Um, and Kimmi felt some type of way about that, in so many words. And basically, Mel's like, "Well, I only invited the people that I really wanted to be there, the closest people, or whatever." Um, to me, and I just wanted to leave it at that. And in so many words, Kimmi felt some type of way about that because she's like, "Well, Mel made it clear that she has a certain circle, private circle, personal circle, and I'm not a part of that." So, and Kimmi, she seemed very hurt. And I just felt like Kimmi is having a rough episode because she's just like, um, Mel made it clear that Kimmi just not right there, even though she feels like they have been doing that. They've been trying to get there, like, you know. And Tisha's like, well, that's crazy that Mel said that because she's throwing Tisha these get well parties and stuff for, getting out of her remission and all that, but you can't even invite her to your name change party, which I understood that. I did not think about that at that point, okay? But I definitely understood that part. Um, um, but again, I'm like, Kimmi just had a very rough episode. And Mel was like, "Yeah, but the name change party was really nice." Um, and Kimmi asked her if she felt like it gave her what she needed to move on. Melody says, "Yeah, it was a sense of moving on." And Kimmi is like, "Really?" And Melody says, "Yeah, it was a detachment thing that she needed, And she's like, even though her kids will always be Hawks, she was married into that name. And then Kimmi asks, if Wentz, like when they think about her kids and the name change, does the changing change anything for Mel? Like, does it make her feel any type of way? Melody says, "Nah, and that's just really it." And to me, I felt like Kimmi went on a little bit of a tangent talking about the kids in school and like what's your mom's last name and who she moved her last name to, the middle name. I don't really know what she meant by that. But it felt like she was just kind of going around the mulberry bush and basically don't assume that you have your mom's last name, and she thinks it's tragic that people don't assume that you have your mom's last name. I don't know. I don't really know. Maybe it was just her kind of rebutting to not being invited to the name change, was kind of like shitting on it a little bit. But Melody was like, she asked if Melody means like, is there a difference between being a baby mom and not having a last name or being married? And then because she points out to Kimmi that Jalen no longer has the same last name as Kimmi anymore, and that that's just a part of her life, and that it is what it is, and her kids know what it is, so it doesn't really bother her at all. And Melody annoys me a little bit when she's so dismissive like that, because sometimes she just act like she can't just explain exactly what it she means. She just like, it is what it is what it ain't, and y'all just want like stop talking about it. Like, okay, Miss Ma'am. But in her confessional, Melody says her choosing not to invite Tisha and Kimmi is because she wanted people who have been very supportive in her growth. And let's be honest, in the past few years, they haven't been getting along. And sometimes they are, and sometimes they throw shade, and sometimes they, down the line, you know, some lines have been crossed and they haven't been drawn. So basically, she don't trust them, and that they weren't worthy enough to be invited to her party. And Mel decides to talk to Tisha about, the last name thing, and they talk to her about, being over the whole conversation that they were having. And Tisha says that she and Kimmi told her about how that basically that Kimmi told her about how Mel said that she felt like her energy got different when Melody was asking her questions or whatever. And she apologized to Melody because she's like, it wasn't directed towards you at all, 100%. It was different. What's up, Haven girl? Let me see what you say. She says, he trusts you as much as he trusts himself. Went totally over Tisha's head. Girl, you know about Tisha, girl. Don't play with me. Let me find out you know about Huntsville. You're about to get me excited, girl. That's very true, though, okay? And then they basically all agreed to taking baby steps moving forward, and that, little things can shake this foundation that they got going on, that they're working on. And in so many words, Kimmy's like, all right, well, Tisha and Mel, do y'all follow each other on social media? Like, they're like, nah, not really. And we can't unblock each other even if we wanted to, because we blocked so many people. Like, go by. And then before we get into the next segment, Melanie was basically like, she didn't want to turn into this big thing. She didn't want to invite all of them, like Marceau and Maurice and stuff, or just invite like the ladies and not invite the husbands, because it's like, well, I don't want there to be no beef and stuff. And basically, she didn't want it to be overshadowed, because they do that a lot, which I do understand. But now with Stormi, and I'm not even gonna lie to you, I'm not even gonna read this one all the way down to bad either, from my notes, because Stormi was just being a real jackass, point blank period in the story. Like, I'm not even gonna read down notes, because she knew what she was doing. She was being real pissy, a very big child. Granted, the Scots did show up damn near 2 hours late. What's Hayden say? She said Marceau been cheating, and man's side chick got pregnant, so he knows that vasectomy what. That's what I'm saying. You follow, and what I'm trying to get everybody to understand, that Tisha understands, is that they scrape, they cool, they have an agreement, okay? And he probably looking at Tisha like, well, who you slip up with? Is he like, I know my shit ain't, and that's what you're saying. He got all these side chicks, and not one of them popped up. But there was a rumor like 2 or 3 years ago that he does have a son out here, another son out here somewhere. But it might have been before the vasectomy. So I definitely follow. But real quick, back to this last segment of Huntsville with Stormi. Yeah, the Scott showed up late, but Stormi's whole attitude was wrong. And basically, she was just mad that Marceau was like, look, I'm going to meet you with the same energy that you give me. I'm not going to behave in that culture that Stormi has of calling men out their names and this, that, and the third. He's basically like, I'm not putting up with bullshit, okay? And Stormi got very heated, because she's like, culture, she didn't say that out loud, but her whole demeanor shut down. She got on the phone, she was like, oh yeah, well, I'm ready to go. And she admitted that she wasn't really feeling their whole relationship after she met up with Tisha. And Tisha's like, so why the fuck did you invite me here then? Like, I could have stayed the hell home if you felt like that. And that's what I understand that. She's like, well, bitch, I could have stayed at the house if you was feeling like this. Like, what are you saying to me right now? It's very backwards, if it makes any sense, how Stormi moves, because she doesn't understand that she want to keep demasculating Marceau by calling him out his name and then saying, well, you agree with me. What kind of fucked up logic is this? And what I don't like her, bro. Like, she used to have some really decent moments, but I feel like it's a hierarchy thing to type, like, because I feel like Tisha used to kiss Stormi's ass because Stormi has this ranch and this status in this house. Stormi and Mel not even as cool as they used to, because Stormi realized that Melody just used her and kicked her to the fucking rocks. I don't know why they're trying to throw Stormi to us like this, but I want to see more of her messy life. Stop sticking your fingers into everybody else's shit. Bring Miss Betty back. Bring her sister back. Bring Junior back. Do all of this, because she do more than too much for me. More than too much. But if y'all enjoy this review, make sure y'all like, share, comment, subscribe. If y'all didn't enjoy this review, make sure y'all dislike, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'm going to see y'all on the next one. I'm about to hop right back on because I got to catch up with these reviews. All right, y'all. So meet me on the next live. Bye, y'all.